also sometimes we can be the ones that are disrespectful or controlling or emotionally abusive. We just don't see it because we don't see it in ourselves so much. Sometimes a confident, strong, assertive wife can use those awesome qualities to subtly manipulate her man, intimidate her man, control how things go in the home or family, and basically take over leadership of the home. And again, I want to tell you why this is so important to recognize, because when women are a little too assertive, too strong, too much the controller, maybe a little disrespectful, but it couldn't be that big of a deal, right? We kind of rationalize it. Bad things happen to our men. Our husbands feel emasculated, ignored, unneeded, or exhausted trying to please us. Let me run over that list one more time. Our husbands feel emasculated. Do you know what that means? It means like they don't feel like men anymore. That's not good. They feel emasculated, they feel ignored, they feel unneeded or exhausted trying to please us. And they may eventually choose to numb out through alcohol, drugs, pornography, gambling, whatever it might be. Or they might start to gravitate to another woman who seems to respect them and make them feel like a man. Or they may choose to simply emotionally withdraw from us. And we're like, what is wrong with this man? And we're like looking at them. And they're responsible for their own stuff, but sometimes we've emasculated them, or we've made them feel unneeded, or they're exhausted themselves trying to please us, and they feel like they can never please us, and so they check out, they numb out, they spend time with another woman. That's definitely not good, is it? So how should we interact with our husbands in a healthy way? What does the Bible tell us about how a wife should interact with her husband? A way that leads to peace in the relationship and a more intimate relationship, and a man who is much more likely to be a better husband. Okay, the Bible does give us some definite clues here. And some of these things do not seem very fun. I'm just saying. Some of these things are like, why should I do that? But I'm just going to say that I have countless testimonies from women who don't happen to be here tonight, but I can provide phone numbers if you need to check with them, that when we do these things, it really, really, really does change our marriages. Okay, so the first one is the wife is to submit to her husband. That does not seem very fun, does it? Does anyone get really enthused with that? Raise your hand. But it is biblical. Several different passages in the Bible talk about this, but the one that I really like is Colossians 3:18, because that's the one that says, wives, submit to your husbands as is fitting in the Lord. So again, if your husband is saying, I want you to go rob a bank with me, you get to say no. And if your husband says, hey, I want you to look at porn with me, you can say no, because these things are not as fitting in the Lord, right? But in general, if your husband is not leading you over a cliff, or he's not asking you to engage in sinful behavior, you get to say, if he's not asking you to do those things, you do follow his leadership. Just saying. The second one is maybe even harder. The wife is to respect her husband. This is in Ephesians 5:33. It simply says, it's a very short verse, it says, the wife must respect her husband. Now, this is also not very fun or popular, because most of the time we don't feel a lot of respect sometimes, right? Let's just be honest. Sometimes we don't feel like we respect them. But this is not a feeling. This is a decision that we get to make. I was just talking to Patty the other night. Many of you know Patty. She's been here for many years, but now she's mostly living in Puyallup. And we were talking about Squadron of Sisters, because she'd gone for 4 years to Squadron of Sisters from the very beginning. And she shared her stories many times, and she doesn't mind at all if I share it again. But she's a prime example of this piece, because her husband, as she shared here before, cheated on her with, multiple people. Just terrible things happen, right? She had every reason to not respect her husband, right? Every reason to just say, he doesn't deserve my respect and all this stuff. But she came to the Squadron of Sisters the night that we happened to be teaching about respect, and she hated this group. And she went home and went, blah. But then she thought, this is what the Bible says. And as she was talking to me the other night, she said, I had a choice to make. Do I want my marriage to work or not? Do I want my marriage to work or not? If I want my marriage to work, I'm going to have to change something that I've been doing. And apparently, this respect thing is important, because the Bible tells wives to do it. So she decided to be respectful, to act respectfully toward her husband, to have a new demeanor toward him. And she, even when she'd catch herself rolling her eyes or being all sarcastic or snapping at him or whatever, she would actually go back and apologize and say, I'm sorry, that was disrespectful. And it changed her marriage. Her husband will tell you that, and she knows that to be true. It changed her marriage, simply deciding to act respectfully. That's how powerful that piece is. Okay, next one. The wife is to display a quiet and gentle spirit. Oh, that could be difficult, especially if you have kind of a aggressive, assertive, strong, spunky personality. And I'm not saying you need to change your personality, but we've learned that men don't like to be challenged constantly by a woman. That a woman who's like kind of in their face or critical or always finding fault and complaining, that just wears a husband out and he can't stand it. You know, what's the expression, if mom ain't happy, ain't nobody happy? Man, that is so true. Might sound kind of silly, but if you can come up with a funny, unique signal your husband can give you when you're getting kind of domineering or disrespectful that will help to keep things lighter and allow you to laugh at yourself, that can be so helpful. Raul and I have to try to develop kind of this fun, like playful kind of stuff, because if you can put a little bit of humor into it, it kind of breaks the whole tension anyway. During discussions with your husband, start pausing more and giving him room to process and verbalize his thoughts. And for some men, this could mean waiting till the next day even, right? Pausing and letting them think and process and not pressing them to agree with you right away, because that usually doesn't work. Start really trying to understand your husband's perspective by asking questions like, can you tell me, more why you feel like that? Tell me more about why you feel that way, and can you help me understand why you think that? Because now you're asking him to actually explain instead of just going, well, that is so stupid. What about saying, can you tell me why you think that? Now he might need time to think about why he thinks that. Again, pausing, letting him think about it, because he may not really know. He might have to. Women think rapid fire. We can doom, 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 just verbalize and start talking. I could ask each one of you now to tell me exactly how you feel, and you'd be like, oh, I feel like, and you ask a man, he's like, feelings, he's like, they just have to think longer about stuff. They're not dumb, they just process all this stuff in a different way than we do. And so maybe he just needs to have some time, even after you ask a simple question like, can you tell me why you think that's a good idea? And then we're shocked if they don't come up with it right then. Well, he might need time to think about that. When you feel your temper building, leave the room and ask God to help you see your husband through his eyes.